Why don't we make this episode about that initial conversation starter where you go, okay, I'm talking to somebody, I'm excited about her, leading up into kind of that first romantic gesture, whether it's like the first date or the first trip together, because I think that we can all like relate to and we've had experiences.
I want to throw jinxing in there too, because Jordan and I talk a lot about that, and I have to share something that happened yesterday that is because of the jinxing thing. But we'll get to it.
What is this jinxing?
You don't experience. We have to talk about
this. This excites me more because it's definitely like a deep-seated thing.
And I think people can connect with it that aren't talking. Like, I think hitting subject lines like that of like, hey, jinxing and all this other stuff is way more than like, hey, when was the last time you fucked? Do you enjoy having sober or like drunk sex? It's like cool. And like Alex was saying, three white dudes on a podcast talking about like,
let's talk about jinxing.
Girls.
Okay. Episode starts at 27. Jordan, how do you define jinxing?
I would say that you are talking to someone of interest and things are going well. You know, there's been some back and forth. You may have even gone on one date and like some butterflies are there. You're excited when they text you back. You're thinking about them a little bit. And so you start to tell your friends about this person that you have an interest on, or, you know, and as you're like, hey, I went on this date, it's really good, or I'm talking to this girl, like I'm really excited about, and they're like, let me see a picture. What do you tell me about her? Like, give me, you know, the second that you break a fourth wall and tell a little bit more, even like half soft. I know soft launching and hard launching is a thing on social media where you like actually post a significant other or like, hey, I'm out to like on this hike, and you like half show the other person, and that's a little bit. But I think it really comes when you present it to other friends, when you're like, hey, you know what, I this person feels different than the most, and then the universe does its stuff and all that good energy is immediately gone and you are ghosted out of the blue for no reason.
I mean, I relate to this so much, and not only with women, but with everything. And I've almost worded it like, this has been going on in my life. I remember being in therapy and trying to tell my therapist about this, and she was just not on board. And I'm like, it's real. And it felt like it was like an inflated balloon, like even if it's a work thing or a girl you're excited about. And every time I talk about it, it just lets out a little air from the balloon. And even like Jordan knows this with like work things, I never talk about them until it's like done and out there, because every time I've ever been like, oh, this is going to go, or I'm about to do this, you know, my ego or excitement wants to share about it. But then the moment that I do, it goes, like damn science, it either stops existing or is way less cool than I thought it was going to be. So I don't, and I got to share this. So how it's shown up in my life is I don't save people's numbers with their name. Not only like females, but like people I work with, like the manager that I work with, a year and a half, her name is not in my phone, because I feel that the second I write her name in my phone, it's going to go away. And it's honestly very inconvenient, because if I have to like call people, I have to like, I have to remember something that we talked about. And then I search for that in the messages. Like, you know, maybe we said vegetable, and then I search vegetable. I'm like, okay, there's the person's number. And I call them. Dude, everyone, like, you look at my phone, dude, you guys got grandfathered in because I met you 10 years ago. But like,
let's
go.
You
got your phone?
Dude, so I got to say this to you yesterday. So, you know, I'm dating. I've gone on dates with a couple people. They know that I'm exploring. Yeah. And no one's name is in my phone. And I also, because I've been stressed lately, I've gotten like some pimples. So I saw a doc and they're like, yeah, like here, I'll call in a prescription to a pharmacy. So this pharmacy keeps calling me because I don't want to go get the prescription. I don't think I need it anymore. So they call like every 2 days to be like, come to Walgreens and pick up it's like that's my recorded robot voice.
Those.
All right. So finally yesterday, I'm like, geez, they keep calling. Let me just call them back to cancel it. So I call the recent number that called me and I go, yeah, hi, Walgreens Pharmacy, I have a prescription. And the voice goes, no, this is Wendy's. And I was like, oh, my bad. And I end it. And then I go, oh my gosh, that was this girl that I've gone on several dates with. And so basically from her end, And she's gonna listen to this because she's so sweet, and I'll own this. I thought I was calling the Walgreens pharmacy. It was her. And she's so sweet and she's quick and funny. So that when I go, hey, Walgreens pharmacy, she goes, no, it's Wendy's. I hang up because I thought it was Wendy's. And then I realized this, dude, and I'm like, I have a 5-second window to call her back and make this still a joke, or else it's just going to like terrible town. So I called back and I was like, my fat fingers accidentally hit end. And I'll own this. I'll own this and tell her all this in person. But yeah,
dude, that is unbelievable. First of all, there's so much to unpack here. Okay, so you don't save numbers by name in your phone. That is like an unbelievable strategy.
And not just females, like anybody.
Right, no, managers, work commitments, Walgreens apparently.
The amount of confusion,
doctors.
I'm looking at my phone, the confusion level is high.
No wonder you screwed up giving your number to Izzy at the creek.
Oh, I miss her.
I mean, I had a similar thing happen recently, but it's not kind of in the jinxy, but you know, I don't know how to tell this story. Two girls had the same name in my phone, and I called one of them, and this was an ex from like years ago. And I butt dialed her, and I was like, she's got a 3.
Did you butt dial her or did you call her?
Oh, I called her. Like,
okay, so no butt was involved.
No butt dial. It was a straight call.
Yeah.
And it went to her voice, like it just went to voicemail. I'm like, oh, that's the wrong one. And I hung up, and then I texted her, and I just said like, hey, sorry for the butt dial. Like, hope all is well. Did not hear back. No text back.
You ever wonder with that? I'm going into kind of universe land. If like,
Please.
Obviously it didn't work out, but like, you ever wonder if like, then she texted and then you guys start talking again and then sparks fly and it's like, it was all meant to be, but I guess it wasn't.
I think that's, first of all, like going back to this idea of ego, like as soon as you guys, you know, say that like the jinx comes in it's like synonymous at the time where your ego comes in. Or whether it's like you're dating a new girl, look at her on Instagram, how hot she is or how beautiful she is. Like that's like ego talking, right? And that's when you feel like the universe kind of like jinx it.
Yeah.
Well, I think, but it's not about like showing off. Like you're not being like, hey, like please validate me and this person by me showing you this. It's like, hey, you know, we're just in an age that we're able to connect and be able to see that of like, hey, you've been going on 2 dates, you're excited about this person. Let me see. Let me get a connection. Let me put a picture, a face to this name as you're going out with this person to get equally as like excited for you, not like, hey, Alex and Rob, I'm going on a date with this person. Take a look. Do they meet your standards as well? That's not where the jinx comes in. I think it's, and maybe I'm misinterpreting your intention there of you know, sharing that kind of stuff.
It's like excitement. You're like excited about it and it's coming from a good place and you want to be like, I'm excited about this person and share it.
And then it disappears because
and then it disappears immediately.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then it goes away.
But I'm surprised that you don't, after talking for just a little bit, just for some organization, because I agree with you with just the way that dating apps and everything is just so fluid. It's like, all right, I'm not going to save it because like, I don't want, you know, my 5th Ashley to be in my, you know, or whatever it is. Until
so many Ashleys. There's just so many Ashleys.
Never been dated an Ashley.
You've never dated an Ashley?
You two just dating. Yeah.
You've ever? That's like one of the most popular names in the world.
Yeah, I feel
like
especially
Muhammad.
being in Colorado, it's like you just go through
girls on
Ashleys
Hinge.
and Taylors, and it's just a lot.
I used to save girls in my phone. God, I sound like a dating app junkie, like literal, like a user. So I was on all these dating apps, right? And I was matching with these girls, and I would save their number, like, and then in the company line, I would put the app that I met them on. So it'd be like Ashley, Bumble, or whatever, you know, like that's typical. I just can't get over the fact
I think
we have all these women saved without.
Well, again, it's not women, it's guy friends, it's work people. It's that's highly confusing.
So okay. Can I just see your like text log of just the lack of, I don't want to see the conversations. I just want to see like just sheer numbers without anything saved.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say, I mean, this is just you'll see that
Oh my
like
God, there's no
there's
names.
Jordan and Rob are saved, and then Andy and Matt, and then the other 7 are
Wait, how are you? Aren't you gonna get the 732 and the 720 area code confused? Does
yeah,
that
that's
ever
how I
happen?
think I'm calling Walgreens
That's what you
Pharmacy.
call, well, yeah.
The confusion level is through the roof, man. I'm gonna have to work past this because, like, obviously, if I get engaged to someone, I can't.
What is
Gonna
what
have
is
to
the
put her name in.
parameter that finally gets someone? What was like the last straw or most recent person that you're like, I should probably put the. I mean, I'm amazed that
Dude.
your manager isn't
And there's
saying that you're.
moments where I'm like, it would just be really easy to do this, and I don't know, man. I don't know when I'm gonna, I don't really have an answer to that. But I also think, Rob, I think you brought up. So, all right, well, let's finish the loop on that, because if we're actually unpacking it, it's basically it's insecurity, and it's us thinking, even that girl that I've been excited about or gone on dates with, like, um, there's an insecurity that it could just vanish. And I think we've all experienced it. And I'm sure you listening have experienced like being excited about someone. And then for no rhyme or reason, it vanishes.
Dude, this is gonna be so heavy, but I have to share it.
Please.
Okay, so I was married for 5 years, and then I lost my wife to cancer, and there was a feeling in my gut that I was gonna lose her. And I know that that's so fucking heavy, but there was this weird feeling that I had. And maybe it was because this is the greatest thing in the world. And then it happened. Am I crazy?
No.
I just think like there is truth in this human relationship to good things that happen in our lives where we go, we're going to fuck it up. We're going to lose that. And I think that that is actually fear almost preparing us for the worst case scenario.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So going off your insecurity of like you putting a girl's number or their name in your phone, you're afraid that she's, either going to break your heart and you're going to get involved, or she's never going to call you back and she's going to ghost you. And it's all fear-based.
And
You're 100% right.
Is it though almost manifestation to a negative, sense?
Yes.
Yeah, where you're just, where
Mhm.
you think something bad's going to happen, and when it does, you're like, see, I told you something bad was versus just like thinking positive over and over again. And so when positivity comes, you're like, I manifested that versus the negativity around it.
Dude, there's so many books like written about this. Like, isn't A New
Yeah.
Earth like all about this? Eckhart Tolle. Like it's all about this like positive manifestation of thought leads to positive outcomes in your life.
You
And
kind of
dude,
sounded like him then.
Thanks. I've been in the TikTok world for the last like month and a half, and there's so much of this like positivity mindset.
Yo, snaps for my man Rob breaking 10K real quick out there. Love seeing that.
Thanks, JK.
Loving the content with that. I want to circle back also to you butt dialing an ex by accident or calling them because you went through a time of making amends. And I go back and forth on the importance of needing to do that and how, like, what is the intention around it? And sometimes it can be very selfish based
Yes.
versus, you are not even acknowledging like where they are in their process of getting over you or where their life has taken them since that. And I remember Neil Strauss's book, The Truth, brought up the fact that every time, like during a breakup and especially during the like healing phase, that every time someone reaches out to the other person, it brings you back to zero. Like everything gets lost.
I resonate with that. Yeah.
I think it's a really good question. So amends to me kind of like came into my orbit in the last like year and a half. It's like part of a 12-step program. So part of me is like, okay, I'm at this step. I got to write all the fucking bullshit down that I've done. And I have definitely been reaching out to exes, and it's really about like clearing negative energy, clearing guilt, and truly being sorry, like truly making amends and being like, my behavior was not okay in that moment, and I'm really, really sorry. And having that kind of awareness, totally think that like exes and emailing an ex or reaching out to an ex, like the way I've prefaced it is like, hey, I'm just reaching out to like make amends. There's no like, what are you up to? There's no like, I want to get back together kind of energy. And I always try and check that energy. Like, am I like leaning on this X to fill a void again? Or am I leaning on this X to like make me feel less lonely? Or am I really leaning on like reaching out so that I can like clear this negative energy that I feel is between us, or this unsaid apology? So there are certain exes that I haven't reached out to because it doesn't feel like it's the appropriate time. It doesn't
Right.
feel like it's going to be fruitful for them, and it's going to like reset the clock, as you said, which like you don't ever want to do that or do that to somebody else.
And kind of bridging the gap of a few different things we talked about, because Rob and I have talked a lot about this, and Jordan, I'm curious, but like you made me think of this. I went through a hard breakup in 2020, and it took me probably 9 months to actually like be okay and not like, kind of shook. But it also like that ninth month, what really helped. And when you think about it, like there's no mystery here, but we live in a time where it's very unnatural for us to be able to see the social media of someone that we shared time with so intimately. And when I was really not doing okay in 2020, which a lot of us weren't, I would kind of like masochistically, if I'm using that word right, like
Yep.
self-harmingly check her social media, because every single time I would get some kind of a feeling. And
Right.
when finally, and it had to do with the men we admire stuff too, when finally I was like, all right, you got to stop. Like, it's just, you're picking the scab. Every time you look at a photo of her on a trip or her happy with someone or friends, you're just like harming yourself. But then it was about a month after not looking at social media that I was like, oh, I'm okay. So it's just, I don't know if anyone needs to hear that of like, don't check your ex's
Don't
social
check.
media.
Definitely don't. Muting if you don't feel like you want to unfollow or anything like that. It Out of sight, out of mind is truly a blessing. And there is something I remember. I went through a really bad breakup. This was probably 2014, 15, and I do remember those moments of being like, "All right, are we ready for this gut punch? We're gonna do it, okay?" And you almost
Yep.
it becomes part of your daily routine throughout the day of being like, oh, I haven't checked in yet, let me like get that feeling really quick. And it's misery loves company. It is sadistic of
It's
wanting to be like,
sadistic, but I think
Yeah.
it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place where you're lacking control in the pain that you're feeling over the breakup. And you have this control where you can tap into pain and almost control the pain by looking at your ex's socials. So like I've definitely dealt with it. It is so painful. It's like it hurts. It literally
Yeah.
hurts. And like, but then you're like, well, at least I can control the pain. And it goes to this idea of like, I mean, I was never somebody who like cut myself, but I have friends who have cut, and it's usually like because they're so sad and they want to like control the pain of
Wow.
like having it. I mean, I know that's super heavy. What a heavy fucking episode.
Yeah, but this is, I think I would rather talk about this than how we originally started.
Totally. No, I agree. I think the modern dating, social media, slide into my DMs, vet every girl via photos before you meet them, before you smell them, see them with your eyes, hear their voice, is completely opposite of our primal instincts and completely against how we have mated for tens of thousands of years. And it's only happened in the last 5, 6 years. I mean, we are the guinea pigs, this generation. And then the generation after us is also a guinea pig. But there's been obviously documentaries like what was that? Not the Social Network, but the Social Dilemma. Did you guys see that doc?
Yeah.
Oh my god! And it's like one of the lead guy in it. He like goes through a breakup, and then he sees his ex on social media, and then that gets him really upset, and he like starts failing out of school, and he joins like a cult. And it's like this is what we live in now. And I'm actually surprised on social media apps that there isn't like a I broke up with my ex setting. I feel like there should be, where it's just
What
like,
would that do?
didn't Facebook or Instagram reel that out of like, hey, we just broke up, like I don't want to see their stuff for a bit. It just kind of got
Well,
swept
you
under
can
the rug
obviously
a little
unfollow,
bit.
you can
Yeah.
block.
The
but then it's
mute,
like,
the mute is a really good feature.
right, because then it's not like an official unfollow.
Right.
Well, so it's interesting, and I feel compelled to bring this up now, just because we all kind of live and operate in a similar realm. We all do different things, but it's some kind of form of media, whatever that is. Like we're all, Rob is an amazing filmmaker, Jordan's an amazing adventurer, content creator. I do like positive speaking, but it's all in like media delivering that kind of thing. Anyways, so we're talking about social media and all this. And I guess why I want to bring it up is like part of me will hover out and sometimes see another version of me. And that was really big going to this lacrosse tournament this weekend. Insert bro joke. But like I played D1 lacrosse and it was this whole thing. And there was a lot of guys there who were my age on the team that I played with who just have a different life. Like they work a job. They probably don't even have social media. And like, I guess I'm just like, it's just, I'm having a moment where, and I had it there where I'm just looking at some guys my age who have a wife, who have kids. It's just and I'm kind of laughing a little bit about like, here we are talking about muting our exes and, and it's, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a very different reality.
100%. I can't agree more. And if I think about 17-year-old Rob, I remember dealing with who am I Facebook official with in terms of in a relationship and how taxing that was on, the two girls that were really in my life at that time. And that lasted for like a year and a half, 2 years almost. Whereas like, it's just like the Facebook official idea. And this is like what we as modern single people like have to deal with. It's just like what we have to deal with.
Yeah. And it's because I'm sure we've all met someone who's like, I'm not on social media. And it's very compelling in one way of like, wow, that's really awesome. Like you're not even, but then there's another part where it's like, it's almost too big to fail. Like social media is almost too big a part of modern society to like not engage with.
Absolutely. I guess my follow-up question to you, Alex, because I had a similar situation when I was visiting Seattle a couple weeks ago, seeing some friends who had little kids. And, usually after going to my niece's second birthday or, situations like that, I'm always like, that is great birth control. I'm good for a little bit. Like, I get it. Having kids is definitely a goal of mine, but that was chaotic. And Rob, you can chime in on that as well. But it shifted for me being in Seattle and seeing my friends as I'm like, cool, I'm going back to this Airbnb by myself with my dogs. You guys have this really cute family and you're really just settled and content and there's like stability there. And so did you have that? And I'm tapping into that mind shift of being like, okay, I'm not pushing this away as hard and being like, that is actually aspirational. That is the goal here. Did you feel that?
You know what's really interesting, and I think that's the only way to answer it, is I feel in a very like transitionary period. So there was a lot of like I've gone to these things before, lacrosse tournaments, and it's just such a work hard, play hard environment. Like you play hard and then you go and you party. And now we're older, and so there's still that partying element, but it was very much like, I had this nice hotel room in Vail, Colorado, and there's just so many moments that would be really wonderful to share with someone. And I saw a lot of my like counterparts, guys I played with in high school or college or known through the years, who like, even if they're not married, they're there with like a girl or, woman that they're getting serious with and they're sharing it. And like, there was one night where it was like, we all hung out and then kind of couples broke off and went to a nice dinner in Vail because we're not 22. And you know what I'm saying? And I ended up just going back to my hotel, and the other route, and this is why I say I'm in transitionary period. The other route would have been like, well, I'm not with someone. Let me just go to the bars and get drunk and party and lean into that. But that's really not where I'm at anymore. And I'm not drinking. And, I didn't want to do it because I knew that would kind of it wouldn't feel good for me. So what ended up is like, instead of like partying at the bars or going on a romantic dinner in Vail, it was me eating grapes, watching New Girl in the lavish Vail hotel room. But, I think it's a transitionary period.
Do you have a robe on?
No, they didn't have robes. Such a good question, man. Such a good question.
I mean, I can relate with this, like eating grapes by yourself. That's like me ordering a Domino's pizza, watching a movie or a new TV show by myself. And it's something I'm like,
What's your Domino's order?
I get a medium cheese with green peppers, onions, and black olives.
Just to deep dive on this for a moment, but absolutely wild order. Just I'm processing that.
Thank you. Oh my God.
I like just that all hit. Absolute bonkers order.
What? I like the veg.
Like all the polar things.
That's been my order for decades.
Oh, wow.
And I get a side of the garlic dipping sauce. Do you know the garlic dipping sauce?
Yeah, I do. Domino's is great. Alex, do you have a Domino's order?
So this is my question on this. I guess I don't know if this is like a New York thing, but Rob, you both came from Chicago. Like, would you like Domino's more than like calling up like a good pizzeria
It's
and getting like
convenience, man. It's
right.
like it's convenient.
They're more of an app than anything. The convenience and the ability that they can do that, I agree. Then like going on Yelp and seeing what kind of pizza shop is in this town that I'm in, like Domino's is just consistent, and I know what I can get with that.
And also like going to In-N-Out versus going to get that like delicious duck fat butter, burger at the local gastropub. Like you want an In-N-Out burger. You're just like, I just want that. So
I get that.
that's kind of it is. I guess it is a weird order now that I think about it. Should add some
it makes you happy,
something.
man.
Yeah.
I go barbecue chicken with some jalapenos.
Fuck yeah.
Sounds good.
They usually it had a deal for a while that was like 2 medium pizzas for like $5 each. So you could get 2 pizzas for a total of $12. And I'm just like, great. On the road, that lasts me like a day and a half. It's amazing.
Weber, do you eat pizza? I feel like you just eat melons.
So it's funny we say this. We can go. Let's go into the food section.
And just salads.
Dude, this has been tough with dating though. Like not drinking, and drinking is such a cultural, and we all talk about this a lot because Jordan's not a big drinker. Rob and I are both sober. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep that going. We'll talk. Time for another day.
Keep it going.
Okay, we'll circle back. We got a lot of episodes. But food wise, whether it was American Ninja Warrior or now like my good buddy Michael, who's a housemaid, and we'll talk about that if I have insecurities about living with people in a house. So health and wellness focused that like that I've really done that, but now it's like I'll even go out to eat and I'm like so boring to go on a date with
because you get a salad or something. Or
well, we went out to ice cream the other night and I don't even really like ice cream, which people like don't like me after I say that.
What is wrong with you?
Do you do desserts at all? Like is it besides fruits or like
tummy.
Oh, maybe you're lactose intolerant. You need
I don't know, man. Whatever.
Not a big like cake guy or cookies or.
But I am eating a lot of melons, and what I've learned about melons, and this is important. We'll just do a little TED talk here. Eating healthy is tough. They don't tell you how to eat healthy. They really don't.
They don't.
And what I learned about, because I would always eat a big meal, and then melon would be my dessert. And what I've learned is that you don't want to do that because then it digests way quicker, but it's sitting on top. And so it's like bad in your stomach. So what you want to do is melons first and only. That's my buddy Michael Sovia told me that. Melons first and only. So after this, I'm going to eat a whole melon and chill. You guys say stuff.
No, first of all, I respect your regiment of fitness, health. Like you've always been health minded.
It's so frustrating because Jordan eats dick, eats crap, and then
he's shredded.
Shredded. This guy is so hot. It's stupid.
I don't know how you stay so bad.
I don't like. Let's not go into the fact that I'm just like out here eating in and out at McDonald's and coming in and doing that. I'm definitely like making my meals. I have the luxury of being able to not count calories or do anything like that, where my metabolism or genetic makeup, I guess, just like has me being like consistently very, very lean. And so it has been nice, but I agree. I don't think I've been educated on how to really like, I'm trying to like add on weight or like add on the proper like muscle and consume enough food. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm eating enough calories. And like, I'm talking to a friend who's done bodybuilding competitions, and they're, yeah, boohoo for me. Yeah, I know.
This
It's
is
so
the
hard for me to
tiniest
gain weight.
violin ever.
And Rob's very lean because you've been so sad that you weren't eating for a while.
I was so sad. I was just so sad that I just stopped eating, and I look great, and I'm maintaining this sad dad bod.
All right, let's get back on track a little bit here. I love these food conversations. I think it is really important to have food conversations while you're on dates, but we'll bring up date conversations later. Alex, what are some of the pinpointed conversations that you and I talked about that I know one for me, I put out a TikTok that talked about the bare minimum. There's a trend going around on TikTok that was, hey, if this guy does this, come wife me up or come in my bed with me. And, you know, people were being like, if he's 6'3" and tattoos, or if he's bearded, like just like really baseline attraction level. But there was one that stood out.
Both of those are Rob, except for the tattoos.
Yeah, for sure. Rob just crushes that kind of stuff. But the one that popped off for me because I stitched it was this girl goes, when he treats you like a person, not a possession. And so I stitched that and I was like, this is the bare minimum. Like, are guys consistently that bad out here that you need to ask for that?
Honestly, they are.
And I got over 200 and some comments, and every single comment was from a female that said flatly yes.
This to me, okay, so I'm a dad. I have a daughter. She's 5. Like, she's going to someday be in the jungle of dating. And that blows my fucking mind. But the fact that, like, there is this possessive, women are just these sexual objects, like, POV that is shared by not only, like, some men, but by the majority of men is honestly, like, fucking disgusting. Like, men need to evolve. Like, we're not cavemen, like, this is my cave bitch, you know, like, or whatever. Like, this is my hunter gatherer. Like, we're evolved. We're like an evolved species. And I feel like I am shocked that women are shocked when they meet a nice guy, which the three of us are honestly nice guys, like really, really nice guys. And they meet us and they're just like, oh my God, he's treating me like not a possession. It's unbelievable that is the bare minimum. It should make dating a lot easier for us. What the fuck?
Well, I also do think, though, that, and I'm not going to generalize women or men, but I do think there's some part of like, and listen, I've probably been attracted to it. I also know from several women who have told me this as facts, there is like an attraction to when guys are not great, and either whether that's distant or not caring or even like treating poorly. And I don't know if that's just our hardwiring of like, we want what we can't have, or I don't know.
No, that's got to be that's like rooted in like some kind of trauma. I feel like that's some kind of trauma that they have from like their avoidant father or something.
Well, Jordan and I kind of talked about this. So we've never done the possession thing, but I will say that like in my last relationship, this was 2 years ago. And then in my 20s, I had a relationship, and grounded, there was a pretty big trauma from college that I had where my girlfriend then was cheating on me, but we also were like very in love, and that like rocked me. And I've moved past it, but there's been some relationships where I've definitely had to deal with it. And so I've had like jealousy. And so I think, and that probably stems from my own like insecurities, and of course, but I've never treated someone like a possession, but I've definitely been more jealous than I'm proud of.
Oh, same. I mean, jealousy is like a huge part of my psyche.
Really?
Yeah.
When does it kick up?
I think it kicks up when my insecurity like peaks. Like if I'm feeling lesser than, or my ability to relate to the world feels compromised because I'm like depressed or anxious or insecure, that's when like I'll project it onto my significant other, and it'll in the form of jealousy, and it's really not healthy. Like I'm super aware of it. And at least now in my mid 30s, I can like catch myself doing it, where I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm creating stories in my head. This is insane.
Jordan, are you jealous?
Um, I'd be lying if I said no. I definitely have had exes in the past who were very jealous, which I realize how unattractive that is. So I tried to remove that. But I'm probably, and I think this is also where social media comes into play, where I tried to not even follow the girl that I'm excited about or interested in early on because I don't want to look at stories. I don't want
Mm,
to create narratives that become me being jealous if I'm actually interested in this person, or I want to remove it and just be like, let me interact with them and let them prove who
mhm.
they are to me from the jump. But yeah, there's definitely been
I should
moments
do that.
of jealousy, but there's been a few examples that I was presented where like this one girl gave me a story about feeling like a possession where this was back in college. She hooked up with a guy at a frat party, saw him the next day on campus. He completely ignored her. And then like a day later, texted her at 2, 3 in the morning being like, hey, come on over. And that felt like that was like a possession thing. And or flirting with some guy leading up to an event that they were supposed to be at, and right in front of her he hooks up with another girl, which I didn't totally feel as a possession thing, but I was just trying to get more data points of like, because in my head, I just assumed that the possession stuff was people in a relationship where guys are like, you can't dress like this. You can't have a girls' night. You need to be, versus more of a casual dating side of things where I feel like the lines are a little more blurred, but I could be wrong. And I was just trying to talk to more girls to get more examples.
I mean, I think that then comes back to like communication, which is really hard in the first, few dates of a new relationship of like, what are we, where are we trying to go with this? What are we trying to do? And it's almost, I mean, in my experience, the less defined it is, the more fruitful it is and the more exciting it is. Whereas as
Right.
soon as you define it, it it fucks with you a little bit. And
That's fair.
and I think maybe that's just part of this new modern dating of like social media of we have to know what we are because the amount of choices is just insane. I mean, there's so much swiping fatigue. So let's go back to like 1960s, and I think Aziz talks about this in modern dating, where it's like you dated the milkman's son down the street, and like that's like who you dated, or you dated the local girl next door because there was only 70 possible matches in your community. And it's like, like,
I wrestle with that one though, because I also know like I think that there was a lot of goodness in that, right? Because you're just like, okay, this is my person.
that's what I'm
And
saying. I'm saying
you,
that that is the goodness. Like there was.
yeah, I think there's also probably a lot of like people who are like, oh gosh, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. This is not the right person, but we got 30 more years.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. So
But,
I guess it's relative.
but I mean, it doesn't, I mean, I think one thing that's tough with the apps, and I'm going to be deleting them. We can do like a little like count of how many times I say that on every episode. So we're on two.
What
This
are you
is
holding out for? What is the
well, a little bit of is jinxing of like,
jinxing that you are currently talking to people that you are interested in, but the assumption that they are going to
well,
dissipate
the
and go to
I think it's probably an addictive quality of like, what if like one swipe away was the true love, or like your next hinge suggested was like wifey. I just know that that's not going to be it. The other tough part I think is with tech, a lot gets lost in the ether. Like you very well may hit it off with someone, but then we're all human beings, we're all busy, and it just kind of gets fizzles and loses in the ether of messaging. And I think that's just a disheartening part of it, you know?
100%. I I mean, how many texts have I sent, where you're just like, is she going to respond? Is she not going to respond? Is she like using too many emojis? All that shit. It's just we're dealing with a different, a level of nuance to dating. I mean, okay, so I know I talked about the notebook last episode, but in the notebook, we should count how
You
many
get a
times
ticker on that. Yeah.
I get a ticker on how many times I talk about the Notebook. You know, he meets her at like the fair, and then like, you know, they just like have this connection, and he's like, can I go out with you? And she's like, no. And then he like begs her to go on a date, and he like climbs the Ferris wheel.
She's on a date with someone else, and he pretty much is like, I'm going to kill myself if you don't go on a date with me.
Yes, which I think is a great move. I mean, I think give snaps to the guy.
Talk about gaslighting.
I've never seen this movie, but I'm going to watch it because
You got to watch the Notebook.
Yeah. What were you getting at here, Rob?
Yeah.
You just wanted to talk about the Notebook.
I just wanted to talk about the Notebook. No, you were talking about like getting lost in the ether, and I think it just goes back to this idea that we're connecting with our potential future partners always via a device at first,
Right.
usually. And I think that is the difference. It's that we are connecting via a device. I mean, think about like all of your relationships that you've been in or are currently in. They're all text based. Like everything we're doing, whether it's a new love or a new relationship, is via text, and that's like its own level of communication.
Have you guys tapped into voice notes at all?
Big voice note person.
Big voice note guy as well.
Not a big FaceTimer, but your new FaceTime people.
Yeah, I'm about. I don't mind it. It doesn't hesitate me. I definitely have been finding that the people that I'm connecting with on a more recent level is that the shift to voice notes is huge, and I think the United States is late to this. I think every other country sends voice notes back and forth. It's so much easier. But I also wanted to talk about because I actually had no idea where else I was going with this thought because. Rob, you talked about defining the relationship, and you're someone that often gets into relationships really quickly. And I am terrible at having that DTR conversation. So how quicker, I mean, I remember I was seeing someone last summer who I was really interested in. And, you know, after like a couple dates, Alex was like, so you're going to tell her you're going to ask her to be your girlfriend, right? I was like, it feels kind of too soon. I don't know. We haven't really gotten to any serious conversations like that. I don't know. And the next thing I know, she breaks it off to go date someone else. So,
well, that one in particular, what was interesting was you were trying to be like easy, go with the flow. Like you were, trying to just like trust and be easy with it. It kind of unfortunately backfired, but yeah.
Okay. So I'm by no means an expert at this. I would just say that of the three of us, I've definitely been in longer committed relationships.
Think you're better than us?
I don't think I'm better than you. I just said that. I've been married, dude, and engaged. Jesus, what is fucking wrong with me? Like, Jesus.
We're just worried about not getting a text back and jinxing it. And you're like, yeah, dude, you want to get married? And girls are like, let's go.
Okay. So I would say, I think there's a fine line between you going, I'm going to play it cool and give this girl space, and knowing, and the other side of that, knowing, you know what, I really see something good here, and I don't want to fuck this up, and I want to invest in this. And I think it's just like one of those, it's an opportunity, and you go, wait, is this connection really deep? Like if this connection's really deep, then I do think it is unique. And I know the three of us are charismatic dudes, and we can have chemistry with a lot of different people. But ultimately chemistry is important, and it's unique when it comes to a significant other.
I had a thought, we might be heading into the last section. What if we each went around and did a red flag, green flag, or like, one of my notes thing was like us, and this might be for the next time, is like describing our ideal partner and just kind of like manifesting, putting that out there of like who we really want. Would that be a fun thing to do, a red flag, green flag once around?
What is that like?
I don't know if that's
red flag for me.
Like something that maybe like a deal breaker, and then something that like really genuinely is like, you're like, oh, I'm into this person.
Yeah, I think can we gamify it the next time,
Yeah,
like if you
game
come in,
it.
I think you guys are so good at doing that kind of stuff. If we can do some stuff that plays into that a bit more. But yeah, we can try it here this time around and just talk about that, because I'm sure there, someone might say a green flag is like, ooh, that's actually a red flag for me, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
Rob
hesitant
hates
to do
it.
the red. I don't hate it. I don't want to be mean and call out a red flag that I've experienced before.
But I don't think it's
That
mean if it's beneficial to you or anyone listening. Unless it's like super specific to a person.
it's pretty specific.
Like,
So it's just like I don't know how to do that. Like I could
okay.
speak in generalities, but I feel like it's only
Alex, is it? Sorry. Is this also going? Did we talk about what did you? Because you wrote down in the notes the things that we talked about. So what were the? Because I brought up the ick as
What was
well.
the ick?
What's the ick?
You don't know what the ick is?
What's the ick?
It's kind of in the realm of the Jinx, where you're talking to someone that you're really into, and then they do something, they have something in their home, maybe like a tapestry or something like that, that you're like, ooh, yeah, that's not for me. And you're like 0 to 100, you're out on. Like, has that, like,
Oh my gosh. That's so funny you say this, because this popped into my head today and I was like, I got to tell the guys this. And I completely forgot. And then you just said this. So it's not an ick, but it was an absolute absurd move. And listen, like I get all my hot messness. I've got a freaking tapestry. I've got the smallest painting on this wall. I got weird stuff. I went on a couple dates. This is like a year ago. I went on a couple dates. This woman was really sweet. We had a nice connection. Like, I don't think either one of us felt like it was maybe a long-term thing, but there was like, we were feeling it out. Right. And so one time we like had gone out to dinner and we like went back to hers and we're having a drink, and all PC, all PG here. But she had one of those photos that's like it's like a frame, but it's a collage, and you put in like 7 photos, and it was kind of like a wild and free with your friends forever. We run together. Like there was some like poem that was like very much like, we run wild together, friends for life. And there's all these photos in these, and it was a frame and 7 photos. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, so these are all your friends. I'm like, oh, but you're not in any of these photos. You just have photos of your friends up that it's like your friend crew from college or what? She's like, you know what? Actually, like those were just the photos that came with the frame.
Oh my God.
I think about this every week. I'm like, hold on. You bought one of these things and just kept in the stock friends from the like.
And she hung it, and it was
Hung it up, and I was like, "Did you just get this?" She's like, "Nah, I moved in like 7 months ago." That one was
That's
tough
an
for me
ick.
to understand.
So that's like a red flag. I think the ick and a red flag are the same. Like you can really only have. I don't know. If
I
you can
disagree.
have,
I
oh
think
really?
yeah.
Okay, tell me the ick in your eyes then, Jordan.
So I went on a few dates with this girl, and so I have 2 dogs, and so everyone has like a talking to their dog voice. It's a little, yeah, everyone kind of changes it. It's a little like kind of baby talk, maybe not really. And I went over to her house. We were going to do some like DIY arts and crafts like thing. And she lives with one of her best friends. And the voice that she used to talk to my dogs is how her and her roommate talk to each other. It was not, yeah, like, "Ooh, what you doing over there in your room?" And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, and it was back and forth. And so that was, it wasn't a red flag. That was an ick. And it was just like, ooh, like, I get it. Like everyone talks to a dog in a goofy way, but that was the ick. A red flag for me now is like someone who doesn't have any friends, or
That's a good one.
That's a big one. Or has like fake friends framed on their wall.
yeah, that's like serial killer red flag.
Yeah, it was tough to process. But the friend thing is very real because that's like I think that's a representation of someone's character.
100%.
I have a red flag.
Okay, what is it?
I dated this one girl who didn't know how to use chopsticks.
That might be an ick. That's
Is that an ick?
Yeah.
I've actually cited you saying this to many people because it's one where I don't know, you could kind of pick it up on the fly. Like I was surprised even
Using
if you
chopsticks?
yeah. Like if you wouldn't, I don't know if she thought it might have been cute, but like she
was
could have
just
just like gripped it and ripped it and probably figured it out.
She's like, I'm just past it. I'm never gonna learn. And I was like, yeah.
It's a little, yeah. I think, yeah. So I think that's the ick. Your reaction to that is the,
Okay. So that's the ick. I guess a red flag
where it's
is
just like this is like simple motor skills and a little like a cultural acknowledgement of using like a utensil that is just kind of like, yeah, I'm not asking you to use it every meal. Like we're grabbing sushi with it. That's what you do because it's you're not going to use your fingers for that.
Yeah, we had to eat sushi with our fingers because then
You did it too?
Yeah, I didn't
What
want
a
to
good guy.
feel bad. So I was like, oh, no worries. So I just started eating the sushi with my fingers.
Like a barbarian.
Every minute. Hated it. I was like, what am I?
Clawing it.
Just dipping it. My fingers got soy sauce and wasabi on them. I couldn't like take out my contact.
Because it is the weird transition to eat sushi with like a fork if you're just like stabbing the
I would
pieces
prefer.
that way.
I mean, no, the fork would have been a lot too.
This is a good one though. I remember like well basically what I'm getting at is food on dates, and I'm the hot take. Well, I'll do a hot take. I don't think food should be involved in a first date because
Agreed.
yeah, I remember I asked out this girl. This is a bunch of years ago. I had such a crush on her, and so I booked this like really nice Italian restaurant, and we went. Italian food is not like attractive. Like I just remember, I viscerally remember me taking too big of a bite of spaghetti and looking up and seeing her check out from the date in that moment. Like I could just clock that she was done.
I feel like I had a moment like that with an ex where I was like housing a burger.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I think I like looked up at her at some point and I was just like, she's not into this. Like, I look disgusting. What am I, starving? Like, what is this? Like, I ate a burger in 3 bites, tops.
Yeah.
And she was just, I could just feel, she's like, I fuck this guy. Like, this fucking
so
burger assassin. Oh man, yeah.
I would say I'm definitely in the camp of no like sit down meals for at least the first like 3 to 5 dates.
3
for
to 5.
reasons of like what?
That's a lot, man.
I was just saying the first one.
Yeah, well, I think it's just very stiff, and like to say no food can be involved. I think that's extreme. I think no sit down like meals. I think it just is very stiff, and like you said, eating is not often very attractive. So if you can remove that ick from like, here, watch me eat this wet burrito in 3 bites. That's the size of a newborn baby.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you're
true.
having a good time in your activity and it's like, hey, let's get popcorn or a little snack or a little like French fries to share, like that seems light and playful. But if you're like, we're getting this fancy dinner and we're going to sit side by side, and what do you do for work? How long have you been in the city? Is just
going back to the like theme of this, the Jinx of this episode.
Right.
I'm just calling back to a first date that I had with this girl I matched on Hinge. And I just knew from the match and I knew from the messaging that like it wasn't a fit.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the Jinx playing or if that's just intuition.
Did you still go on the date?
I went on the date. We went for a full meal.
Sure.
And I picked her up because I like to pick up a woman. I'm old school like that. I don't like, hey, meet me at the restaurant. I'm like, I'm happy to pick you
Yeah,
up.
you've made 1960s references like 4 times.
Bro,
In the
it's just-
Notebook, he makes a point of picking her up.
I'm old school like that, I guess.
What if he
And-
starts dressing like Ryan Gosling?
Like a fucking like mailman hat and suspenders. Oh, I might. I just might. Anyway, so we go on this first date and like, I knew from the moment she walked out of her apartment and got into my car, I'm like, oh, this is not good. And I was like, no, Rob, like try, like give her that. Like, that's different than the Jinx. That's just like intuition.
Intuition's real.
Yeah, well, and Alex and I have talked about this a lot too, where it's almost like, hey, and you talked about it last episode, where it's, hey, it's a Friday or Saturday. I should fill this with a date. Cool, this person's responding to my messages, but instinctually, like in your gut. And there have been times probably through whether or not you meet them in person or through dating apps where through the messages, the intuition that you have, you're like, oh, we'll have a good time together. And so we've all done it, and I think a lot of our listeners probably have done it too, where you're just like, I don't think this is gonna go well, but here we go. All right, let's just give it a shot because it's a Thursday and I should get out of my house.
Yeah.
I think those moments where your gut is going something off, I say push for the FaceTime. I've done this before where I FaceTime a girl before going on a date because I'm just like, something's off. And then immediately. If you can't do 8 minutes of a FaceTime, there is no reason to spend
FaceTime vibe check.
It's such a good move. And I often don't do it because I'm like, oh, it's a little uncomfortable. It's a little awkward. It's a little effort, right, for us all to do it. But that in comparison to an hour and a half not good date is just
so much worth it. Like so much more worth it.
Yeah. Hey, this was a good one today. Took us 27 minutes to find our stride.
We talked about romantic time at the beginning.
Yeah, maybe that'll be on our Patreon if we do one.
Yeah, I love it. Well, guys, this has been so much fun. We are going to be back next week with another episode of the Still Single podcast. And if you don't mind, please leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on Spotify, and give us all a follow at Single Girl Dad, at I'm Alex Weber, and at Jordan Kahana on Instagram and TikTok. And
Can you
be back? Yeah.
Can you also, if you're listening and you've made it this far, let us know. Let us know how we're doing. Can we get some feedback, please? What do you like?
Snaps in the chat.
Do you have questions? Is things hitting home? Do you want to talk about other things? We'd like this to be, this is 3 besties, but we'd love it to be, we want to hear from you.
Hell yeah. Still single.
Still single.
Still single. Jordan, are you still single?
Say it. Yes, he's on board.
Still single.